Welcome, guys. So, as we are trying to cover here the AWS concepts, out of which the lab related to Elastic Beanstalk, Elastic EC2 instances. Now we are trying to cover related to database storage, that is Elastic Block Storage. So in this lab, we will try to create an Amazon Elastic Block Storage volume. We'll try to attach and mount the new volume created to the existing EC2 instance. We'll try to create a snapshot of the volume. We'll also try to create a new volume with the snapshot which we created, and then attach that new volume in all together to the EC2 instance. So to start off, the Elastic Beanstalk, it uh, not Elastic Beanstalk, since done my last lab, so I'm just stuck with that word. So, but E stands for elastic, B stands for block, S stands for storage. It's a layman word. Elastic block storage. So, for any operating system, you need a file system. AWS provides you with different flavors of volumes, which are you can have different storage like elastic block storage, EC2 block level storage volume, elastic file system, elastic simple storage services. If you're using EBS, you can have your instance up and running uh, without no loss of data. If you try to stop and start your EC2 instance, data is not lost. There are different volume types which we'll later see when we try to create a volume. Generally, it is general purpose SSD GP2, provisioned IOPS SSD IO1, and cool HDD, a couple of more, that is throughput optimized HDD, magnetic, which is standard. Uh, Out of which you can only choose two for a boot volume, that is general purpose SSD and provisioned IOPS SSD for higher computation. To start off, as I've initiated a lab instance here, so to start off, we'll go and search for our instances EC2, and we'll quickly check whether we have an EC2 instance already deployed. If you see, we have a couple of instances running here, and this is for my lab. And if I try to go in details of it, the associated volume to this instance is, if I select this is the volume ID, and it is attached to lab under dev xvda. Let me quickly check for this too. And is it attached? Yeah, okay. So the volume which is attached to the EC2 instance is this, which is 8 GB in size. It does have an existing snapshot ID. A snapshot is an incremental backup kind of thing. So at the back end, it tries to take the incremental changes and store it along. Type is general purpose 3. So now going to task 1 to create a new elastic block store volume. So we have to search for our EC2 under volume. We have to also note that your region availability zone is US East 1. So if you want, you can change this to US East 1A, and from there you can see a volume section in Elastic Block Storage. If you click on volume, you come to the volume section. This is your volume. So now you have to create a new, so you create volume. We're keeping it general purpose. Size as per noted here as 1 GB. You can't, as it will try to restrict me. Then you have to also mention the availability zone, as my EC2 instance is in US East 1, so I'm keeping it as the same. I can choose to add a keyword which helps me in deployment or monitoring later. So the keyword is name, key is name, the value will be my volume, and then adding that, use my volume. You can just go to your configuration once and then click on create. Mhm. So that's it, my volume is created here. Now we want to attach this volume to an instance. So to do that, you can do select this and then click action. You should see attach volume here, but let me uncheck this and see if I get the option. No. So now let's track for this volume creation. You should always check your status. The state is still in creating mode. So once this gets completed, which you can see in some time, says available and not in use. So let's select our volume, click on action and attach volume. So now we will attach this to an instance which is already created, which is lab instance. Device name we should recommend and recommended for data volumes. These are those file systems. So let's see what the lab work says. Choose the instance field and select the lab instance. Note that the device name is set to dev slash sdf. Notice also the message displayed that newer Linux kernel may rename your device to xvdf through dev xvdf internally, even when the device name entered here. So we might have to choose this. To see that, I'll quickly go back and duplicate and see my EC2 instance, and this is mounted on, this is mounted on, quickly let's see here, the existing volume should be volume ID lab xvda. So we might have to mount it on, let's see, xvda. Okay, for now let's do one thing. Let's mount it to SDF. Just remember this device name SDF for later use. So we are just trying to add a data volume, not the root volume. Mm, okay, and then let's see if this gets attached volume. Volume should say in use. It immediately says in use. Now let's connect to our EC2 lab, because although we have attached this volume, but since depending upon the OS, uh, we have to modify the Linux shell command. Okay, just make a note that this was already 8 GB. We are now reducing it to 1 GB. So in the later shell commands, I'll get back on that observation. So this is my lab and I'm trying to connect to it. So this time I'll choose, okay, so you can use a serial manager, SSS session manager, or EC2 instance connect. So here itself it will show me. You can also select a user if you have created IAM rules. This will give me the terminal access. Now, so you have to create and configure your file system. So I know that I am already on 8 GB. So available 8 GB XVDA. Okay. My file system is not visible here. Also, I know that I can look for what all volumes are there on this instance by using lsblk. This shows that I have 8 GB as my root volume. So I am trying to add another volume, not as a root but as a data volume. So to do that, at the start I have to create a file system for it. So sudo mkfs-t with the file name, let's say ext3 dev hyphen. Remember I did mention the device name SDF. Do mention that. Writing superblock and file system accounting information done. Do check for any errors. Now if you check for df-h, uh, you see still we do not have appended or created a directory. So we will make a directory by using sudo mk mkdir mkdir space mnt slash data slash hyphen store, and then I'll try to click yes. Now what I'll do is the directory is created. Now I will do to mount my volume which I mentioned as dev-sdf to mnt for data store. If I check dir-h, so I can see my file of my volume of 1 GB is now added here. So even if I can see with lsblk, I can get to see there is an additional disk added to my file system. So that is how you mount a file system. Now, to configure the Linux instance to mount this volume, whenever the instance is started, you will need to add a line. Run the command below to accomplish that. What it does is, so just trying to read it once again, to configure the Linux instance to mount this volume. Whenever the instance is started, you will need to add a line to file system tab. Run this command below to accomplish that. So what it says that echo dev sdf my data store, which is x3 default when it starts booting, to etc fstab. So let's do this. Echo enter. So you see, default gets added. Now let's view the configuration to see the settings on the last line. So this file system should be mentioned here. There you see. So this has been added. SDF. Now again, if we check df-h, our file, that is data file storage volume mnt data store, is visible in the file system. With this you can see a difference now. So now once this is done, what we will do is, on your mounted volume, on our mounted volume, we'll create a file and add some text on it such that we will later see that this file is snapshotted properly or not. So we will have a file there with some has been written. So instead of that, let me write down my name, some text Siddesh has been written. So this time, as this is a lab, it will try to capture the keywords. So I might lose the marking scheme. So I did press an enter on it. So to see the text has been written to the volume, we'll use cat and the file name. So it will say some text has been written. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll create an Amazon Elastic Block snapshot. So to do that is go to your snapshots. You know you have named your snap. You don't have a snapshot here, so you will create a snapshot. Volume, select a volume. My volume is the volume which you want to create a snapshot of. If you want to give any description, you can give there. You want to add a tag to it because I later can use that. So that would be name my snapshot. S stands capital. Yeah, use this as my value to it, and we'll click on create snapshot. So my snapshot gets created. It's in progress. It will try to replicate from the volume. So once this progress gets completed, we'll move the next steps. You can also have encryptions which data, if you want your data to be encrypted on rest or in transit, you can do that. Like mostly it's on rest. And also key management, Amazon KMS. If you have enabled, you can use that also. So we'll give a quick refresh. Let's see if that gets completed. Yeah, it says progress 100% and completed. So as this is incremental, so any changes, it will try to cache you. Now, since this snapshot is created, uh, only used storage blocks are copied to snapshots. So empty blocks do not occupy any storage snapshot storage space. So full snapshot size 51 MB. In your EC2 instance connect session, delete the file that you created on your volume. Now what we are trying to do is we will try to restore that file later using our snapshot. Let's say this file gets deleted or some of the files have been deleted, and if I want to see cat okay, so there is no file there. So verify that the file has been deleted. You can also do it by this. No file has been found. That implies that the file is deleted. Now what we'll do is we'll restore the snapshot in EC2 console. If we go back to EC2 console, uh, select my snapshots, snapshot, my snapshot from action, create volume from snapshot. Okay, from you do have to select the availability zone should be the same. Rest you can alter if you want. I want to add a tag because it will monitor on this tag value whether I have created that for my course completion. You can create this for your monitoring, monetization, and rest of the needs. So restored volume, I will try to click on create volume. So this will create one more volume. If I go in volumes, which is about the snapshot, it says restored volume. Now I have to restore this volume, but before that I have to attach it. So this just says available. So I'll click on action, attach volume, and I will select the instance which I want to select from. Again, we have to mention the data volume. So SDB, this time I'll use SDB, choose the instance field, then select the lab instance that appears. Note that the device field is set to you will use this device identifier in the later task. So let's say SDG if we have, yeah, I do have SDG. Hope this is not overriding it, so I'll make a note of it. SDG, and then I will say attach volume. So we'll wait for a second until it says in use. It is in use. Now we have to mount this to the file system. To do that, again go back to your connect. Now if you see list block, so you don't see that volume here. Okay. Also df-h, nothing is visible here. So to make a directory first, so sudo mkdir hyphen mnd slash data store 2. Now what we'll do is, since we don't need to clear any data because we need the snapshot, so what we'll do is we will mount this dev sdg slash mnt slash data slash store. So this should mount the data. So we'll verify that. Okay, df hyphen h. There you go. So this is also mounted. Okay, and you can use lsblk. You see, data store 2. Now, uh, you remember the reason to create snapshot and to add that snapshot as a file system. The file system, since this is 1 GB file system, we would like to. I have not added any storage or created anything here, but we had a snapshot, and later snapshot the live environment had a file which was not deleted. Since the snapshot is retrieved, what we will do, and it's also mounted, so what we'll do is we'll check for that file in this snapshot. So it should be file.txt. There you go. Also using the above command cat, let's say you want to find that file, as this was the directory name, the text has been written. So now this is how we complete your elastic block storage volume creation snapshot. Do like and subscribe for the future, so that you get the future content also, and that gives me a motivation to do deliver such kind of recordings, as this is very initial stage of me to record stuff, and will be getting more organized in the later stage.